Welcome back to another episode of Life After Sunday. Today we have Mr. Logan Duvall on the show. He's an entrepreneur, family man, and the founder of Sowing Prosperity. His story starts with his son's battle against stage 4 cancer and has grown into a movement for health, healing, and wholeness. He also owns Me McGee Market in North Little Rock, Arkansas, a local food market changing the way we eat. Welcome to the show, Mr. Duvall.
Y'all for having me.
And you got 4 munchkins as well.
I do. I got 4 babies.
What are the age range, or which?
11, 10, 5, and 4.
So you have your hands full
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
That's great, man.
So we have
and hey, he's from Atkins,
he's from Atkins,
which is awesome.
hometown boy.
I'm
And
home.
and he's the biggest YouTuber from Atkins because he has 180,000 subscribers on YouTube.
About 130, yeah.
Okay, I missed my 3 and 8s. It happens all the time.
Happens.
And he has interviewed Mel Gibson. Who doesn't love Mel Gibson?
Oh, Gibson's awesome.
Mel's a good dude.
Because he's on that same kind of kick with health and
Yeah.
what was y'all's connection to get that going?
So cancer. So he went on Rogan and talked about ivermectin and fenbendazole and some other things and talking about some of his friends that were then cancer free after doing some of these alternative things, and that went just stupid viral. And turned out, like, because this is like cancer's that's my world, right? And one of my best friends was actually the doctor of some of those, right? And so it's like, oh, Mel, I really don't want people thinking they can go to Tractor Supply and cure cancer, right? Like, like we needed to jump on a call and break this down, and it's just in this world, and because of one of my best friends, we just made that happen. She knows all of them, knows Mel very well. He is a sincerely good guy. And what we saw him do to try to help his friends with cancer, like these were really good friends of Mel's, that he was like turning over every stone that he possibly could. And, Petra is one of the best naturopathic oncology focused doctors, I think, that in the world. Didn't want people to have false hope, because like cancer is a big deal. And yes, ivermectin and fenbendazole have a place, like 100%. But I don't want people thinking they can go Tractor Supply and cure cancer. Right. So the biggest reason that we got on that call with Mel was to break that down, to say, hey, they did do those things, yes, but this is what else they did, right?
Yeah.
We broke down the whole protocols and then our theory on what cancer is and how we approach it. And so it was a great conversation. And Mel is he's over in Italy right now filming the follow-up to Passion of the Christ.
I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be awesome. And just a sincere, I know, the crazy thing about all of that is the amount of hate I got.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm friends with Mel Gibson. You would think that I have done some absolutely horrible things because of publishing people didn't know that we know Mel, right?
Yeah.
But like, because I put a podcast out there, conversation, man.
The haters are always just waiting to hit the keyboard.
Waiting to pounce, man. One thing we've learned doing our podcast, a little bit of backlash we've gotten, it's like, hey, keep commenting, because that's just going to boost it out there even more. You know what I mean? Like,
Man, I don't even read them anymore.
Yeah.
No,
I don't
you
even
have
read
to,
them.
just because it'll drive you
Yeah,
nuts.
it's
You'll
just
want to argue with every one of them.
And it's really a waste of time.
It is.
So what you are today and what you do, from your podcasting to your market focus, all began when your son got cancer, correct? Is that kind of what turned you into where you're just researching the crap out of everything?
Yeah, but
Or were you
Mike,
like that before a little bit?
no, I give so much to Atkins, honestly, and just life in general. So because I don't, y'all may not know this, I'm a Duvall, right? Like we're not supposed to. There's a bunch of us, right? And we're not really supposed to do anything, like in life. And so you grow up with kind of like, oh yeah, that's a good old country boy type thing, right? And no real expectations of what you're going to accomplish or do, and so I just didn't like that, right? And so I had this burning desire I wanted to be successful. I know what that meant. I didn't know how to do it. And so like I went down this road of being a voracious reader at a really young age. read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was probably 15, and just trying to understand because at that time it was money meant success, right? Like that's how I gauged everything. It's like how much money you can make, and so started. Working for Charles Bewley because he was the most successful person I thought I could have access to, and I loved horses and just Charles, huge impact. So fast forward, went and went to college, petroleum technology, got into EMS because I wanted to be safety in petroleum technology. And so I thought if I had my EMT, that would be cool. Ended up realizing that I'd have to travel all over the world for petroleum if I was going to do that. And I didn't want to travel. So I jumped on an ambulance for a little bit to try to figure that out. And in the meantime, I thought that I could just learn, right? On theory, a 24-hour shift and then 48 hours off, like you can get a lot accomplished.
Shoot,
But I
yeah.
didn't realize is that it was destroying my health, right? Those 24 hours shifts of not working.
Yeah.
Kind of the mentality in emergency services, as you know, is like, you are the job, right? And it becomes the identity. I'm a law enforcement. I'm EMS. I'm a firefighter, right? And so I got caught up in that for a while, right? I am emergency
Easy to
medical
do.
services, right?
Yeah.
And finally, just kind of hit the wall with that based on some other things. But Tony Moore popped up. So Tony's a real estate guy. Again, he's the most successful person that I knew from Atkins. I wanted to learn from him, so I got my real estate license just to go work for Tony. And so these little steps kept showing me life, right? Like I got to see emergency medicine and all the hospice things going on, how people were dying, how people were living, how we were in fire and EMS and police, and then into real estate. And then I found out I hated real estate. Hated it.
How long did that take?
It did take long. It didn't because it got into this salesy thing, and I was not interested in selling people stuff. I wanted to help them get what they wanted, and then not get into debt. And I know this is kind of a roundabout way, but like all those little things, and having Atkins and being here when the pickle plant left, and watching the collapse, and watching how you get this deterioration of a community because of the economic negatives, right? Like all of these just things had super impact on me. And so when my grandpa and grandma and mom had the market in Little Rock and my grandpa passed away, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go down there and just help them and just see what happens. So like we were blowing and going there for a couple years, growing, we were averaging 200% growth year after year, 3 years in a row, right?
Wow.
Like huge growth. And then Lander was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Right? And then, yes, absolutely. That was a pivot. It made me refocus. I was just kind of floating and just grinding up until that point. But then the hyper focused on cancer, I'd say a lot of times, like I was really pissed off about some stuff on a Thursday. That Friday morning when I found out he had cancer, it didn't matter. Right?
All the little things in life that irritate you suddenly disappear.
We talked about that before. You hear somebody that's had cancer, been on their deathbed, and come out of it. It's like kid spills milk in the back seat. It's irrelevant. It does not matter.
Kind of gives you new perspective.
Yeah.
It changes everything.
It
So
does.
with that, I just started. I guess the next turning point was when I asked the oncologist, "All right, okay, what do I feed him?" "Oh, it doesn't matter." I said, "What?"
Like, so basically he said there's nothing you can do.
He said there's nothing I could do. That was the takeaway, right? It doesn't matter what you feed him. Here's a soft drink. Oh, does he want ice cream? Oh, here's a bag of chips. I'm thinking, let's go at a radiologist try to give him a candy bar, right? And I'm thinking this makes no sense. So I wanted to have the best information that I possibly could on what he could or should eat. What is an anti-cancer diet? And so that took me down. There's probably not a book on a cancer diet that I've not read. And just kept going into, and I realized that the food mattered a lot. The agricultural practices mattered a lot. Being in, owning a farmer's market, having seen the interworkings, what local really meant versus our perception of what it meant, that there's a lot of problems, right? So I just started, started the podcast to give people a reason to talk to me, right? Like, it was super selfish. If I couldn't have access to these great minds unless I gave them something. And so by giving a exposure or platform, they would talk to me. So I just kept learning and taking steps and taking steps and taking steps of, I've had huge names in all the realms come on the podcast to talk agriculture, food. But then as we got more into cancer research and seeing some things that, wow, ketogenic diet's not working for cancer. Like, it helps a little bit here and there. Seizures, right? Chris Palmer, brain energy. Like, we know the ketogenic diet has efficacy in there, but it's not for everybody. So, like, kept going deeper and deeper and deeper to the point we are now, where it gets, deep into the science. But feel like basically y'all can ask me about any disease, any condition whatsoever, and I'm going to explain to you how light is the problem with that.
Oh, wow.
And can do it on the layman level into the deep science, to where I have PhDs daily, right, that we jump on and we break down what's actually going down for biochemistry, biophysics, and every other way.
Let's hit that then, because
Let's do
in
it.
your, we know the genesis of how you got to where you're at, and then you've hit something on this sunlight thing, which goes against everything that we've ever been taught. And I've been reading and doing some podcasting, listening to some podcasts. I listened to your podcast with a doctor recently talking about melanin. So talk to us about that. Tell us how we've been deceived. Light's bad, stay out of the sun for our whole life.
Yeah. So as pieces started coming together, you realize that we have literally been lied to about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's a hard pill to swallow,
Yeah.
right? And that makes you sound you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, okay. When you look at the light piece, right? And so let's go to what's going on with society. We have low dopamine conditions, like, to the extreme. So we have depression, ADHD. We have unbelievable anxiety issues, right? We've got diabetes. We have neurodegenerative disease, so Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. You have cancers off the charts. And there's a whole nother tangent to that conversation. But when you realize the damaging effect of the blue light, it makes the whole sun piece a lot better.
Okay.
Right? So when blue light destroys what is called photoreceptors, right? So you have visual, which are in your eye, and you have non-visual, which are your skin, and actually throughout everywhere. So when we destroy the visual and non-visual photoreceptors from blue light, because that's what they do, melatonin.
Which blue light, for people who don't know, you're talking about the light is it from a computer?
Anything.
LED lights?
Anything artificial. So
Like
fluorescent, that one, I'm probably going to have to end up putting those glasses on. The blue blocker glasses is the reason for that. So what this does is it actually, you see that they're red, right?
Yeah.
It blocks the blue light from going into the eyes, which is going to help protect those visual photoreceptors. So the big thing here is melanin. Now, we're not going to get too deep into science, but melanin. So what's a tan, right, is what we think of. But melanin's everywhere, right? It's in the cochlea of our ear, right? It's in our irises, right? Our retina. This is melanin. Hair. Anything that has color is going to have a component of melanin. But what melanin does is it's a basically like a quantum computer chip. Okay, so it absorbs everything. So we think about if we go outside and we touch a black car in the sun, it's hot, right?
Hot.
It absorbs everything. We touch a white car, not. Right, it's reflecting everything. So this dark color, right, melanin, is going to absorb everything, and this has a photobioelectric effect. But everything about the human body is electric.
It is.
Everything. That's how God designed us.
Yeah.
So we're constantly damaging things. So it's gotten bigger and more mainstream about your circadian rhythm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going to sleep with the lights and how it changes and it fluctuates. So when we have an artificial input, we're getting a different signal. Okay.
Okay.
So now how do we,
Unnatural signal.
an unnatural signal, exactly. And we're having all kinds of damage, right? Because like blue light, it releases vitamin A. This causes a lot of destruction for your heme proteins, and just a lot of big problems. We have all these opsins. These are photoreceptors that tell the body different things. They all get destroyed with this liberated vitamin A and the excessive blue light. So how do we sync up this? The sun. Right, the
Okay.
sun. So what do we do in the morning? It's dark, and then we get to see that orange and that pink come up right with sunrise.
Yeah.
This is actually the most important biological signal that we can get. This tells our body, well, now we can start lowering our cortisol, raising in some melatonin production, because we think of melatonin as actually like the sleep thing that we should be taking. Don't take it like that. We need natural melatonin, but melatonin is anti-cancer. It is anti-inflammatory. It's absolutely this crucially important molecule. So getting in this morning sun, it gives us all these inputs. You think about what happens for most people is we wake up, we run to the bathroom, flip on this vanity, blares us with this nothing like what that sunrise is. We run out to the car, jump in the car, we go to school, we go to work. Then we sit under artificial lights all day. Maybe it's a little recess, or maybe it's a smoke break, or you go out to eat. But you're in an artificial environment. So you have infrared. That's what that pink is, right? And then you go into this shift that's called UVA, right? And what UVA is it actually, when it hits our skin, okay, it's really cool. Hits our skin, it liberates nitrates and turns it into nitric oxide, right? And we hear nitric oxide, right? This is a vasodilator, nitroglycerin under the tongue, angina, heart pain. And so the sun actually causes our blood vessels with UVA spectrum to get bigger.
Doesn't nitric oxide increase blood flow?
Exactly. So think about everybody that's on lisinopril.
A blood pressure med?
Blood pressure medicine, right? Like everybody has high blood pressure when the solution actually is as simple as getting your skin exposed to the sun.
But it kind of makes sense. I've worked in construction outside my whole life, and those dudes, some of those guys are like rocks, healthy as a horse up until they die, and they still work outside all day, every day, and they're good.
They're good. The one caveat I've seen with the construction guys and farmers is the sunglasses, right?
Yeah.
And that's where it's really important to understand those visual photoreceptors. That's the eye. The eye, it goes back to what's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, right? And this is everything that keeps the body's clock, okay? And all the timing. We should be synced with nature. When we're not synced with nature, nothing works properly.
Yeah.
That's the big takeaway. So when we block this photo input, right, this light input from our eyes, and our skin's getting a different signal or getting a completely aberrant signal from artificial lights, we create chaos in the body. So what I've seen with a lot of those guys is that they can have tan, but they still have low vitamin D.
Yeah.
They have high cholesterol. So LDL and HDL, that's the two ones that good and bad. There's way more to it than that. And Parkinson's. Because what happens is this melanin that we want to build is actually internal. We need it internal for all the biological functions. So with Parkinson's specifically, we have what's called the substantia nigra. So inside the brain, there's this really dark, gritty material in there. It's melanin. So when we have melanin broken down in the brain and it can't function properly, Parkinson's. Right, you think of the shakes, you think of the loss of balance. This is all an electromagnetic issue. Okay, so how do we rebuild melanin? UVB light. Okay, that's what's so important. So like what I have come to the conclusion of is I can tell somebody's health based on skin tone more than anything, without a doubt. And so when you can see somebody has the white, right, where they wear sunglasses, but they may be dark or they're pale, I know there's some sort of a metabolic issue 99% of the time. And so this goes back to all our buddies on fire and EMS. I have so many of them coming. Guess what they're coming to? Low testosterone.
Yeah.
Terrible cholesterol. Cardiac issues. Diabetes. All of it's blue light disease. Every single one of it.
And so we're failing which makes sense because you got to always kind of go back to the way before the modern era, we weren't wearing sunglasses.
No.
And so we were and the eyes are taking in the signal, and that's communicating with at the cellular level,
Yes.
right? That makes sense to me. I get what you're saying there. So you're saying the sunglasses are blocking the are there glasses that you can wear in the day that would not block that? So none. So
That
just
was
get,
going to be my question. Is there some type of glasses that gives you shade but lets
so you just
the
got
other good
Hat,
in and keeps
right.
the bad out?
Got a hat.
That's
Like
fair.
anything that we're gonna do that blocks them. So contacts are absolutely terrible, horrible. Like contacts and sunglasses are two of the absolute worst things that we can do. And you know, I've had optometrists on there that we break this down, we go into it. So it's not just the crazy country boy from Atkins that's saying these things. Like I can back this up with paper after paper, conversations after conversations. So like you were referring to that melanin conversation with Dr. Moore. He's one of like the melanin experts in the entire world. If you listen to that conversation, I brought to him a whole lot of things that he wasn't fully well versed in,
Yeah.
but he knew it was still right based on the way that I presented it and laid it out. And that's because there's so many different fields. This is the problem with science, is that it's very siloed. There's not a lot of interdisciplinary things going on. It's just like when you go to the doctor, you'll go to a cardiologist, a nephrologist, a oncologist, the optometrist, and they don't even talk to each other. They don't even talk to your PCP, right? That's a big problem, right?
huge.
That's one of the things that helps me start to kind of think like you think on things is like with Gracie's doctor. I remember being in the we were like in the epilepsy monitoring unit. She was having some tests done, and she'd gone into status, and the way her seizures are, they don't look the same as others. And we're in the epilepsy monitoring unit, and the nurses didn't even know what was going on. And I can go through multiple times. We're talking to the experts, and through rough lessons, we've learned you've got to be in charge of your own health, because most of us grow up that when a doctor says this, it is gospel.
It's law, and
It's law. And what you've realized is, because you work in a job and you realize maybe that day they got their head up their butt, or they don't care, or maybe they're just trying to get through the day, and they're not giving you the information you need. I mean, I got more information about my mom's cancer off Chat GTP, broke it down for me and gave me more information than the doctor did in my meeting with him. So that's lending a lot, tons of credibility to what you're saying is perhaps doctors maybe aren't the be all end all whenever it comes to specific situations. You might get lucky and have one.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. So so somebody that is wearing sunglasses all the time, artificial light everywhere in their house, on their podcast, everything. What are some practical steps? I mean, you can't do it all at once, but what are some things that somebody can do to start limiting the blue light? Yeah. And what is a okay amount of blue light? And how do we gauge that?
Maybe like the first two things we can do to fix the blue light thing in our life every day.
The most important thing to consider with this is, let's pretend we have two water hoses, okay, and we hook it together, and you can turn it on each side, right? And so if they're on equally, nothing happens, right? And so you're going to have a negative with this blue. That's if you turn it up higher, you're going to push it, right? If you turn the sun up, this one more, you're going to have a positive. So there's this balancing thing that a lot of things factor. The big thing is, if it is light outside, be exposed to some sort of the spectrum, right? Not an artificial spectrum. If it's dark outside, it needs to be dark around where you are. Okay, and that sounds crazy, I get it, but we have layers of the spectrum, and this is what makes it really, really hard. You look at the spectrum through these different graphs, okay, and they'll have different peaks on different parts. So think of the rainbow, right? You got these 7 different colors, and you'll have arches, right? You want it to look as much like the sun as possible, okay, and so like LEDs look nothing like the sun. Fluorescents look nothing like the sun. Incandescents are getting closer. Candles are looking closer, right? None, when the sun's down, is the closest.
Right.
So when you can see how, like I do, right?
Oh, wow.
I got my phone screen's red. We do blue blocking glasses. I have software for the computer that's called Iris, right? And it would change that screen red.
Red.
So it's blocking the negative. Remember, we're going back to this analogy of the hoses. Which one are we turning on more? But this is why our kids are having depression, why we have kids committing suicide, why we have the ADHD, why we have, John Ott has a study from the 70s called the Sarasota School Experiment. You look, this is still a video on YouTube. He was Disney's original filmographer, to where he was doing this slow time capture filming of like plants, like how plants grow. And he was noticing that, because, this is over days and weeks at some points, that depending on what light they were in, depending on how the plant did. And he started like, what is going on? And so then he started looking at it with animals, and then he started looking at it with people. And so like in this Sarasota, Florida school experiment, it is this classroom of kids that he just films, right, for a day. And you can see them spinning and shifting and moving and doing like what we do,
That's
right?
cool. Yeah.
Okay. And then the same exact class, they changed the lights into full spectrum from these fluorescents. And you have the one kid that's in the back that's just like spinning it. He actually moves up front. He's sitting still. The other kids that were fidgeting and stuff are calm. And so like in that, the only variable that changed there was the light that these kids were exposed to. Again, Sarasota School Experiment, highly rated. It's a 2-minute video on YouTube.
Yeah.
We know and have known for a very, very, very long time how much light affects us, right? So it's mitigate it. When it's daylight, we need exposure to the sun spectrums. When it's not, we don't need all the artificial light. That is completely altering the circadian rhythm.
What about, so if I have a Philips Hue light that I can change colors, if I turn it red, am I really getting red, or is it a fake red?
It is. That's a much better option.
Okay.
But another thing that's really, really important to do is those are LEDs. Okay.
Right.
When you get your phone, put it on slow motion, right? And start filming the different lights around your house.
Oh,
and play it like it's blinking. Like we can't see it with the naked eye, but some people actually can. But for most of us, we can't see it with the naked eye, but we get headaches. And we get anxious and we get jittery, especially like sometimes you go into like a store and you just feel anxious. You think it's because I hate being around people. Maybe it is. More likely, it's those lights. So film that, play it back. You'll see the different blinking. LEDs are notorious for the blinking.
And if you just came in and started watching this, you might be like, he's crazy. And then you stop and think, do you have this at night when you're looking at your phone? And then as soon as you put it down and I close my eyes, do you get the flickering?
Dude, I can't, like, it's hard for me to, like, if I'm watching TV, like, and we go to shut it off, it takes me 45 minutes to go to sleep.
Absolutely.
And then how about if you got I have an electronic rear view mirror now, and for the first time, a car will be behind me, and it picks up the LED flickers.
Sure does.
And so the whole time, and then I've also noticed it too, sometimes when I'm, like I was filming my car one day, like I had a hot rod way back in the day, and it had LED rings around it, and as I was filming it, it looked like my lights were flickering with the motor idling. And I was like, what is that? And so we're not picking it up, but clearly
It's there.
it's there.
So tie this to your daughter and the seizures. What do we know can initiate seizures?
Yeah, the flashing lights. Matter of fact, one of the tests that they do when they're testing you is to see if your type of seizure is caused by flashing lights. So they literally put a big old light up there and just flicker the crap out of it. So see, it all makes sense to me, because you go to the Bible and light is such a massive part of God's word. Right out of the gate, talking about light, day and night. I mean, it just all makes sense. You think
go
about
outside and you hold your hands in the UV, it'll kill the crap.
it kills
on your
the
hands.
germs. That's the other thing. That's another thing that blows my mind. Like we talked about it one time on our podcast. We always talk about God's wonderful world. Like anybody other than God made this world, he would have forgotten something, right?
Yeah.
But instead he's like, you know what? Let's make the sunlight kill all the germs. That'll help keep everything from breaking out.
Yes.
So, you walk out, you shake somebody's hand, just flash your hands to the light. Everything's dead. Fascinating stuff, man. And then another thing to hit me that really turned me on to kind of what you're talking about is I was reading about, I'm like you sometimes, I read about nerdy things, and I was reading about burning wood. And then they made the point that if you're burning a 30-year-old log, you're literally using 30 years of stored sunlight that is being turned into a flame, and now it's releasing that heat back to you. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, Richard Feynman gave a talk about that, right? And this is one of the greatest Nobel-winning physicists of all time. And it goes back to, it's a good way to tie in food, if y'all want to go that route.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to get back on, like, go into that. But I want to talk about what you fed your son and what, all that.
Because diet's super easy, actually. That is the photosynthetic process. Like, what created that wood? Light. So what is really like third grade level that we learned that we just seem to act like it doesn't matter is light and water and carbon dioxide create structure and energy. We're actually the same. We just do it backwards. Light, charge separates water, provides us with a hydrogen, right? This hydrogen is an electron and a proton that goes through the electron transport chain, and we create ATP. Like this is what happens. It's the same thing. It's almost like a spider on a mirror, right? What plants do and what the mitochondria do. It's really, really important. So food is hydrogen. This is protons and electrons. Okay. So what we put in our body needs to match what light we are living in. Okay.
Okay.
So it's really, really, really simple, honestly. Local, seasonal, and natural. Like, that's the diet we should have. So you notice I didn't say paleo. I didn't say keto. I didn't say carnivore. I didn't say vegan.
Yeah.
Local, seasonal, and natural. So what is under the same sun that we should be spending time with? So in Arkansas, in December, it's going to be a meat-based diet, right? Let's go back. Let's pretend like we're Choctaw or Cherokee or Caddo. They would have had deer, turkey, elk, right? Like that.
Yep.
That's what we would have been eating meat. Okay, so you go the flip of that when it is time for plums, crab apples, plants, some herbs, like whatever is going to be in the sun during the season at which we are is the appropriate diet. So when you go biblically, right? And this is why it can't just go completely over. They, for the most part, are going to have a Mediterranean diet. And this is where you get a lot of this. Well, you should have a Mediterranean diet. Well, that's
where they were from.
That's where they were.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what they were eating at the time that they were.
Yeah.
So
Makes
it's
sense.
different for so an Eskimo, do you think they would thrive off a Mediterranean diet? No. Right? Because we have a different solar input. So like what we're doing in Alaska versus what we're doing in Arkansas, El Salvador to Ecuador, like all that's different because it's a completely different solar input as well as the magnetic aspect that's also vitally important.
Right. That's
There's not a special diet. It's local, seasonal, and natural.
So I listened to a podcast, I think it was Rogan or somebody, and I forgot the guy's name. He's real big on social media. He lives down south somewhere, starts with the S, Saladino or
Paul Saladino.
Yeah.
He's in Costa Rica.
Yeah. So I was listening to one, and he got my head turning on all this local food
yeah.
and
You
raw
started that
milk
a few months
and-
ago.
Yeah. And so I went and got some raw milk, and it's amazing. I love
You
it.
didn't die.
I didn't die. And my wife, who is lactose intolerant, could drink it and it didn't hurt her stomach. Isn't that amazing?
And how about raw, unfiltered honey that you
Yes.
get at these markets now? I actually looked that up, and there is not one single con to raw honey. And when the stuff you buy at the store, some of it, if it's cheap, can be corn syrup infused.
Yeah, it's garbage.
And it's been through, I guess they're just doing it to mass produce it, but there isn't, you take store-bought honey versus raw honey,
That's amazing.
you should be eating raw honey. There isn't one single reason to eat the store-bought stuff. So I want to talk about the egg, but also there's so much I want to talk to you about. But before we get to the egg, help me out here because we're not professionals. We want to hit the egg.
The egg.
But no, it's fascinating.
I got a real question real quick before we even get off this light thing. Okay, for our podcast, we have a massive LED light shining on us, blue light. What can we do? Like, I honestly want to change that out now.
Yeah, what's an alligator light?
Change it. So what I use is reptile lights. Okay, so like these are like you go to the pet. This is the craziest thing. Like we know if we have a lizard or a snake, if we don't have the appropriate light for them, they don't thrive.
Isn't that amazing?
They will die.
It's right in front of our face.
It's right there, right? And so what we have got to have, because the sun at a minimum is 42% infrared. Okay. Kind of a big deal. It's kind of why the red light therapy and the saunas and all these things, they do have some efficacy, but the sun's free.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I do for my studio is I have a little lamp that has the reptile bulb in it. And so it is infrared and UVA, right? You don't have to have a whole lot, right? And y'all saw how dark my setup is. I don't have it all blared. I don't even care how it looks at this point. It's about the conversation.
Right.
And so like that is a game changer because that's going to affect all three of our sleep.
Yeah.
Right. Like
I've
I know
been thinking
better.
about that this whole time. I'm like, we're gonna be screwed. Logan's really gonna be screwed tonight.
Yeah. It's because
He's gonna
I'm
be up
not
all
used
night.
to it, right? Like we have these tiny little red LED night lights, like in a hall, and it's like super, super, super low in the bathroom. Like that's what we use. And I actually have for the vanity a nighttime reptile bulb, so it's infrared, so it's like almost like a black light kind of. Hardly any light at all, but that's the extra little boost when you turn it on. So I'm just saying, like God gave us the moon for night.
That's
and so
right.
anything that we get that just blows that out of the water, like we're hurting ourselves.
Yeah. So you see these people, I see some of the, some guys I work with and stuff that are working with computers all day. They wear these supposedly blue light glasses, but they're not red. Is that garbage? Thought so now. I didn't think about it then, but I think about it now. And
it's all about, so you get a spectrometer and you can test this, right? You can test any of them, what light's coming through.
Yeah.
And if it's not red, you're not blocking it. Try them, put them on, see what you think.
Hey, you know what else is cool about red? When you have porch lights and you turn them red, they do not attract bugs.
They call it wildlife safe. Now think about that. I'm telling you, I'm going to tie you a whole bunch of little things in here.
That's
these
wicked.
are awesome, dude.
That's wicked.
It's a big deal. I should have been wearing them, but like it's.
So
I'm about to go to sleep right now.
Before we go to
'em on mic
change
real quick.
subjects, I want to talk about. So what about damage? Like, okay, so we're going back to the sun conversation. Okay, sun's good for us. Is there a point where it's damaged? And here's why I say that, because now in retirement, I'm getting more sun than I've ever got. I was a pasty, pale man for 25 years.
Cop that wore sunglasses every day.
Well, for the 15 years I was working indoors on patrol, I got a little bit of sun. But anyway, now I actually have a tan, feel better than ever. But it's funny, like your leg, you can, like if you're sitting there and your shorts have pulled up, this pale white skin is smooth and silky. And then this down here, as I'm turning 50, is starting to get a little wrinkly, a little damage. Are there some drawbacks, or should we avoid the midday light? No. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So the sun does not cause cancer. That's the other one. Mel Gibson, raw milk, and the sun doesn't cause cancer. Gets me a lot of hate. But it doesn't. So when talk about the benefits just a little bit, because we have this unbelievably beautiful, huge protein called POMC, okay? Pro-opiomelanocortin, okay? This is cleaved into 7 different molecules, smaller molecules, right, that have impacts on the body. And we've already talked about nitric oxide. This is different, but I'm going to tie that in and why everybody is needing Viagra, right? Your junk's never in the sun.
Correct.
Like, seriously.
For
like,
reals.
So when you are not exposed,
That's wild.
but that's what it is, right?
Hey, I'm going to tell you something funny. I shouldn't, but since I now have 2 acres, I now pee in the sun, and I'm like,
That boy.
my stuff,
15 minutes.
my stuff has never seen the sun in 50 years. That's probably not good.
It's not good.
Makes sense.
It's not. And, you know, we can tie it back into the connotation. Like when we look at the Garden of Eden, Adam wasn't running around in sunglasses. He was running barefoot, naked.
Facts.
They had nothing on.
Nothing. It's just like the more we get away from God's design, the more we're going to have a consequence. So
Yeah.
back to the Palm C, two of those cleavage products that we have is how you have to activate this to get a tan too. That's really important. But it only works where the sun actually hits. So if we don't ever have our shirts off or not exposed, if we don't have our skin exposed, none of this actually works. So there's beta endorphins and metenkephalin. Okay, so we hear of this new thing that a lot of doctors make fun of called fibromyalgia. Well, that
Yes.
doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It does exist, and I had to catch myself for cussing right there, because I really despise doctors. Like I'm hardcore.
we found that
yeah,
out the other
I
day.
think y'all know that, because it does exist, and it shows how ignorant that they are when they say stuff. And so what happens is we don't produce enough of those compounds. So beta endorphins is actually an endogenously a compound, an opioid compound in our body that's produced from sun that helps us deal with pain. Okay, metenkephalin. This is another one. This is an endogenous cannabinoid, right? We've heard of the endocannabinoid system. That's why a lot of people have the effects for marijuana, why it helps them.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are immune modulating compounds, right? And I said there's 7 cleavage products to Palm C. Others control appetite, satiety, how much you constantly being hungry, right?
Yeah,
How many
yeah.
of us? We have there's ACTH, there's MSH, like all of this melanin stimulating hormone. There's alpha, beta, and gamma. So you've got all of these compounds going in that control massively important processes within the body. So how many people do we know that have digestive issues? A lot. What is the
Almost
tissue?
everybody.
Everybody. So what is going on there? The tissue that has the highest concentration of Palm C is in the stomach. How many people have their stomach exposed to the sun?
None.
Nobody.
None. Never. Right?
Wow.
So when we're looking at things, so you have what's called melanosis coli, right? In the scans or colonoscopies and stuff, it's this darkening of the colon that is indicative of you're going to have polyps and end up having colon cancer, right?
And it
this
seems like everybody has polyps when they get a
well, that's the
colonoscopy
body's
now.
freaking out and trying to pull melanin in, but it's not properly produced, so it has an aberrant effect. So we have, think about all the problems we have with the intestines. Like it's literally like everybody. So the solution, as crazy as this is, and I got called New Age, right? And a New Age wackadoodle. I said, you got to get your stomach in the sun. And like that, it's not all about a probiotic. It's not about just changing to raw milk. It's not just like the fundamental basis behind everything that we do actually starts with the sun. And if we omit that step, we're not going to get the true foundational fix.
See, I have a personal thing. I just hit me when you talked about controlling whether you're full. I have noticed every winter I gain weight because I eat more and I'm hungrier. And as we're sitting here talking about light, well, what's the season? Especially January, February, it's cloudy, it's gross. You have very little sunlight. It only lasts like 6.5 hours. Again, it kind of makes me come back.
Let's throw in 2 different things. We know we have what's called SAD, right? This is seasonal affective disorder. We know
Yeah,
we have
it
higher
bo-
rates
it
of
bothered
depression.
me.
Okay, in its direct lack of sun, right? So even that little bit that we're getting throughout the summer and stuff, it's just more. So when we omit that, it's a big deal. You also have shift work syndrome.
Yeah.
Right?
been
Like think
there.
about how that affects us, right? So anytime that you break away from these circadian natural cycles, you're going to have a syndrome, right? Do you know that MS doesn't exist at the equator?
Oh, that blows my mind.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know
So
that.
the more you go
That's wow.
north, the higher incidences of MS.
Wow.
Farther away from the sun.
And this is a paradox in the literature. It's not a paradox. It's ignorance.
Yeah, it's right in front of your
Or
face.
Yeah.
fraud. One of the two, right? And so when when you see that the foundation for absolutely everything is going to be in the sun,
I get it, man.
I totally.
What about the map? The map of skin cancer, the bad skin cancer that
yeah,
kills
that's the
you.
one that makes me real mad, right?
So tell us about that.
Yeah.
Where's it concentrated?
So remember what I said about the degradation of melanin in the brain is Parkinson's, right?
Right.
Okay. So the flip side of that, in the literature, we have extremely correlated melanoma Parkinson's connection. Okay. Why? What's actually happened is melanocytes, this is the cells that make melanin, are getting stimulated to go and try to pull in melanin because internally we have this degradation. Okay. So what melanoma is the body trying to get melanin to bring inside, because we make it in the skin and then it comes into the parts that it needs to be. When you look at the literature, because this is where I get hammered, right? I'm a wackadoodle because I say the sun doesn't cause cancer. When you look at the literature, first of all, melanomas typically aren't on areas that are exposed to the sun. First,
I've noticed that
that's
as
first,
well.
right?
That's
Like
true.
it's on your butt, it's on your back, it's under your arm.
Some
It's
white spot.
It's every freaking time, right? Now we'll look at the states at which have the highest incidences: Washington, Vermont,
No sun.
much higher than Florida or Texas, right? So like if it was the sun, we would have higher incidences, right? The equator, everybody be dying of melanoma.
That's facts. Yeah.
But that's not where melanoma is popping up.
Indians would have been chewed up
They've been-
by
Everybody's
skin
tan
cancer.
and dark and no melanoma.
And the sunscreen that we're putting on is literally the most full of toxicity. Remember, they told us it was safe, and then they came and said, "Oh wait, I forget what brand it was." Started pulling their products because they found that they were putting petroleum products in there, and then it's constantly that's changing. You know, like this. You know, you can look at the ingredients of sunscreen, and
You can't even pronounce the stuff.
it's
that's
pretty
in there.
scary. It's pretty, or you use the spray, and then it feels like you have a plastic coat on your skin, and it chews up your watch and the plastic on your watch. Not good.
I sprayed that stuff in the can on my chest one time when we were at the beach, and it just it's like I had hives, dude, all down my stomach.
Skin's
and
throwing
my
out the
chest.
hate
That
on
stuff's
you.
terrible. Right. And so like,
Ooh.
and that's a big one that, well, I have to wear it because my eyes are sensitive or I will burn. Okay. Well, the reason you burn is because you're blue light toxic and you don't have what's called a solar callus because you're never in the sun. Right. So people live in this indoor lifestyle. They work in an office or whatever. They're not exposed to it at all. And then they go to the beach for a week and fry. Like, of course that's a
Yeah,
problem,
yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
not what
Yeah.
I'm saying. What I'm saying is that because the way we have constructed our life, we don't participate in the sun at all.
Yes.
That's the problem.
See, personal experience again, as a pale, powder looking man most of my life. Now that I'm out in the sun, this weird, bizarre thing has happened. I've always sunburned, right? My arms now have color and my neck has color. And all summer long, these things that get the sun most of the day in my legs, I've not received a burn to date.
Not even at
For-
the beach.
Yeah, for a guy who burned all the time, it's like you said. I mean, you're going from nothing to something and you're getting fried versus gradually building it up and getting your skin used to the sun.
Hey,
If
next time I drive by your house and you're mowing, I better see your shirt off.
Boy, this
sure.
could be an awful,
For sure.
ugly sight, brother. This this chest hadn't seen the sun in 45 years.
We gotta get there though.
We gotta
Yeah, we
get
do.
there.
Like because this seriously, like the prescription is the sun. Like for everything. So like if we're dealing with high blood pressure, we're dealing with diabetes, we're dealing with cancer, we're dealing with absolutely anything. Getting that sun exposure on as much as the body is the solution.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I like putting common sense and life experience against stuff. And I can see a lot of the things that you're talking about with the sun. It makes sense. And then I tie it back to the Bible and I tie it back to how I feel now that I'm out in the sun. I'm outside all the time. I feel 1,000 times better, you know, and it just makes sense to me. So I'm all on board with it. But we got to talk about the egg. All right.
Okay.
So we're talking.
This kind of.
Shut
Get
up.
on that egg.
Listen,
Hey, let's just go into food real quick.
that is food.
All right.
We're going into his market.
But before we get to the egg,
What are we going to do?
I want to know about the food that he gave his son when he had cancer.
So we started with keto, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
work. So epilepsy, like a ketogenic diet. But what I now understand is what that was doing with the mitochondrial function. Okay, and that's a whole nother conversation of in itself. If we stress the mitochondria, there is going to be a negative effect.
Okay.
And what cancer really is an atavistic approach. So this is like reverse evolution, right? I know that's going to be offensive to some people saying the E word, but when you go backwards in a survival mechanism, which is what cancer is. Okay. So we're Otto Warburg is a German scientist that laid out this different form of metabolism that cancer cells have. Okay, so it's the Warburg metabolism. We know that it burns sugar at a higher but more inefficient rate, right? And there's a lot that goes to that. So because of this, a ketogenic diet can absolutely be beneficial. But fasting can be absolutely beneficial. And I'm not anti-keto as long as it's local, seasonal, natural. There's a time and a way of doing it. So eating your keto protein bar is ignorant.
That's not it.
That's not it. And that's what we're gonna really need to do, because the water story matters a whole lot for this. There is a form of hydrogen, and this has been one of the hardest things where people just kind of like their brains shut down, but it is so stinking important. There is a form of hydrogen called deuterium. Okay, so there is hydrogen that is one proton and one electron. Super easy, right? Smallest. And then we have deuterium that is a proton and a neutron and electron. So that mass difference has a huge, huge impact. So Einstein, E equals mc squared. Mass is a huge contributor to energy, right? On how more mass, less energy. All right. So when deuterium gets in this metabolic process, it causes a lot of problems. So where is deuterium? Well, it's in sugars. Okay. It's in processed foods. It is concentrated in areas that are more at the equator and less more at the poles. Okay. So there's a gradient that goes there. And when it, even at a very, very small amount, it can have a problem. So the sun allows us to deal with it better. So think about Paul Saladino, right? He's in Costa Rica. He's talking about eating papayas and honeys and raw milk and do all this stuff when he started as a carnivore guy.
Yeah.
But he was realizing when he moved to Costa Rica, he started having some health issues, right? And that's what I do like about Paul, is that he learned, he adapted, he questioned, and he changed. He's no longer just a strict carnivore guy. He doesn't talk about light enough. He's getting there a little bit, but we're going to get there. The reason that in Costa Rica he needs that is because of a different photosynthetic input. So the cancer diet is going to be different in Costa Rica than Arkansas than Alaska, right?
Goes back to what you were saying.
It goes back to
what we're saying, right? So we need to lower the deuterium content. The lowest part of deuterium, or food of deuterium, is going to be fats. Saturated fats are the lowest in deuterium, and sugars are the highest, right? That's the spectrum. Proteins are in the middle.
Saturated fats are so bad for you.
But saturated fats are so bad for that's why when I say that when we started this, that everything we've been told is a lie. That food guide pyramid was a big lie.
Yes.
And it had more detrimental effects on people than about anything else other than maybe statins.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely terrible. And then more is the topic that's going to get the YouTube channel banned. But the diet piece is so easy. It's just local, seasonal, natural. So just like know your farmer, know that they grew it, that it's fresh, like the organic and stuff. Like there's the pesticides and stuff cause problems, but that shouldn't be the focus. It really shouldn't. It should be, how do we support somebody that's raising the food in our own community?
Right.
And so like one company shouldn't be feeding everybody in Arkansas, right? Like there should be a lot of different farmers doing different focused things at different times that bring it all together.
That's what you're doing at your market.
Yeah.
And like I said something about if I'd brought a cooler when we were there visiting, I would have got some raw milk. And you said, no, buy it from your local person. But it's just testimony to what you're saying. You know,
And that goes along with free ranging, like moving cows to different parts of the pasture because they're getting a different kind of grass, free ranging chickens instead of the same thing all the time, right?
Yeah, so you have two types of main categories of plants. All right, you got what's called C3 and C4. So C4 is going to have higher deuterium content. So what we do is we take corn, which is C4, and we feed that to beef. Right, we feed a high deuterium food to the cow, which is going to then increase. So your Wagyu, as good as that is a deuterium bomb in comparison to other meat. Right. So
Wow.
you've got your C3, which is going to be your grasses, are going to be lower in deuterium. So like when you go through that process, again, God's design was not a feedlot corn-fed beef.
no.
It was the bison rotationally moving across the plains and eating a wide variety of biodiversity in their diet, constantly moving, right? Like it's just, guys, when you start looking at it through that lens, it's not complicated.
I'd say it becomes pretty darn simple.
How
simple.
can we? Okay, so if you go to your local supermarket, how can you be sure
Yeah.
that it says grass fed? Is it really grass fed? You think?
You can't. And there's another thing. This is where it gets into a really hairy situation because we've been lied to about that. So we can bring in Brazilian beef and package it in the United States and stamp it that it's a product of the U.S.
I have read this.
So now when you look at the equator, okay, we have north and south poles, right? So this is the magnetism, okay? So you look at it and you see these fields that come out both ways, right? You actually have a flip of nuclear spin. So the way that this is, all of the atoms. So like a New Zealand sheep is going to be different than an Arkansas sheep.
Yeah.
Although on the surface, on your
Right.
macros, your protein, your fat, your
It's the
carbs
same.
is exactly the same. The impact in the body is actually different. And now that sounds super woo-woo, but it is axiomatically true that is a completely different electromagnetic barcode.
So I need to go down to Ferguson's and get my beef
Absolutely.
and my ground meat and my steak
Absolutely.
and all that stuff.
You need to have a freezer in the garage with a whole cow, right?
Yes.
That's where you get that cost down.
Yeah.
You get to experiment with how you use things.
Right.
You get more creative with your ground. You cook roasts that you otherwise wouldn't. You have heart and liver. Like what I do with that is I actually have that ground and I call it ancestral. Nobody even knows it's in there. And that's how you incorporate the organs, right? So it should be, when you go down to Ferguson's and they get that beef from a local farmer, all that money stays right here at home.
I got
right.
a tomahawk steak from there one time. Bro, it was phenomenal. It was so
See?
good. It was fatty and it was just like I just felt like a primal something when I ate it.
The amount of propaganda that has gone in to make us think meat is bad for us and
Yeah.
causes heart disease and cancer is crazy.
It's the processed crap that we're putting in our body.
And the light. But that's the other thing that I want to always emphasize. We are blaming food for problems that the light has caused.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
there's a combination of both here, right?
There's a hierarchy, right?
Light.
And it's way up there compared to food.
Okay.
Like it's probably 1 in 6,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Like that's how but different. So for example, we can sit under blue light, not eating, and this actually goes through that palm seed that we were talking about. There is a clip, is a cleavage product that actually raises your blood sugar independent of eating. So anybody that's maybe a diabetic will know that stress, cortisol, raises blood sugar, right?
Yeah.
Blue light raises blood sugar. Same person, we can go get under a infrared light. It lowers blood sugar.
Yeah, infrared therapy is starting to become mainstream.
Yeah, but think about what I just said. Raise or lower blood sugar
That's insane.
based off of not food,
That's wild.
but light.
Yeah.
That just proves what you're saying about light being the hierarchy, obviously. Now,
You've had 3 questions. What about this wasn't on the agenda, but why have
I was just trying to get to your
Chris
egg.
and I? No, we're gonna go to the egg in a minute. Chris and I were talking about this the other day. Why have people have been eating bread for thousands of years, and it was sustaining. I mean, that was a huge part of your diet. Why is it killing us now?
We talked about when we
Allegedly,
left your place
yeah,
because I was wanting to buy a sourdough loaf.
yeah. Why is it suddenly? God, bread's the worst thing on the face of the earth. Do you know anything about that?
So
He says,
kind
"Yeah,
of says
I've
something
read
about
37
everything.
books on this."
oh, yes,
We have a saying in our house: Jesus is the bread.
yeah, there we go. There you go. There you go. So it's processed garbage, right? And so there's a couple different factors on that. One is that grains or wheat specifically are fortified. Okay, so what that means, you've got fortified and enriched. Fortified means that they have added iron to it, which is absolute garbage, and all the anemia. That's a whole nother conversation. Actually, it's a very controversial. It's not iron. So anybody on an iron field getting iron transfusions or infusions, that's a big problem. That is
That
not
used to be my
that,
mother-in-law. She had
that
anemia.
causes cancer, right? That
Wow.
that is a huge problem. So the enriched is synthetic B vitamins. Okay, so we hear about a big, more popular thing that everybody tries to blame all health problems on is what's called the MTHFR gene mutation. Okay, and so with that, we know that it has to do with methylation. When you have folic acid, it gums up and it binds the methylation process. So folic acid, synthetic folate, is a big problem. That's added to the wheat that's made the bread, right? Then you have most grains are sprayed with glyphosate right before harvest. Okay, they call
Right.
this a desiccant, right? That way you have uniform dyeing and drying. It's easier to harvest. Okay, so now we have glyphosate, we have added iron, we have added synthetic B vitamins on a GMO altered grain,
Yeah.
Mm.
right? Or, and if it's not GMO, it's been hybridized to where it is unnatural, right?
Right.
Local, seasonal, natural, right? We broke that natural
Yeah.
many different ways. You take that and then you make whatever product, croissants or pancakes or cornbread or like whatever it is, right? It's going to be a big problem. The flip side of that is like a real sourdough that's from, and I hate organic. Like I just put out a post about this, just absolutely where it makes my head explode because of the greenwashing and bastardization of what that term was supposed to mean. But if it is an all natural wheat, like we have an artesian and heirloom, an older variety of wheat that's not covered in glyphosate and it is not enriched, it doesn't have bromine, bromide. That's another thing that's similar to like the problems fluoride causes. And then you use sourdough, right? Because what is sourdough? Sourdough is made from yeast, right? This is a
It's like a living
fermentation process.
thing.
It's living in the same environment that we're in, right? So is there going to be a difference for sourdough made in Washington and shipped here versus made somewhere relatively close? Absolutely, right? Goes back to the local piece.
Yeah, my niece, she got away from it. Her brother passed away, but before he passed away, she'd gotten into, like she started this starter thing, and
Getting her
she
own
killed
yeast.
them the first couple of times, but then she got one growing, and she was making bread, and dude,
And
good.
again,
It was so
here we
good,
go
man.
back to the biblical days. We're talking about yeast. We're talking about bread. It's fascinating, man.
I think it's cool.
she would bring it over, and it was like still warm, dude,
Digging it.
so good.
Brett,
So, like, if the sourdough I get at the store, is that really
It's garbage.
garbage?
So what they can do is they can take dried sourdough and put it into the flour in the mix, and they can call it sourdough.
What
That
is
doesn't mean it's fermented at all.
what does a family do that can't go afford to buy a $15 loaf of sourdough?
You know, that's one of those things where we all have to evaluate what it is that we can do, right? So make it,
Yeah.
right? Like there's give and takes to the whole thing. It's like, to me, I would go without it before I would eat that garbage,
Right.
right?
When you make it, it becomes a
prioritize.
treat.
When you make it, it becomes a treat.
So, like, if you got a sourdough starter shipped from Mexico, it's no good to you, right?
The starter can be converted, right? Because you're going to
Okay.
send it. It's just like us. If we go to Mexico after some time, we're going to acclimate to that environment.
Okay.
Right. But that's also kind of plays into the whole jet lag thing. Like all of it is interrelated. It takes time to get resynced.
Okay.
Right. Like it's all so unbelievably interconnected, and it's not that complicated when you
No,
start laying
I
it
get
out.
it.
Like
You've
this.
opened my eyes a ton, man. You really have. And the same way that a raw egg and a
Yeah.
Walmart bought egg.
All right. This is my stuff right here, man. The local egg
Yes.
versus the mass produced egg. Talk about that.
So let me tell you a story first. So my mentor is a neurosurgeon. Okay, he went to Connecticut,
That's
got
why
a
you're so smart.
dual. Well, no, I just tried to learn it. Got a dual DDS MD. Right, he went to Connecticut, got this, then went to LSU, became an oral surgeon through a happenstance, invited into the neurosurgery program at LSU. Right, so that's progression, like crazy
Yeah.
in just that story. Right. So Jack was working ER trauma call and had somebody come in that was killed, and they did a organ harvest, right? And so he's at clinic a couple years later, and somebody comes and wants to talk to him, like it's not a neurological problem. That's not being a patient, but she really really wants to talk to you. Okay, so he's like, fine, I'll go talk to her. So he goes out there, and she says, I was able to figure out that you were on call when the heart I received went to the ER and you pronounced them, blah, blah, blah. She said, ever since I got this heart, I have an insatiable craving for McDonald's French fries.
Oh, wow, this is gonna be
And
good.
Jack said, I just got
Wicked,
chills
dude.
again,
That's
right?
wicked, man.
Jack just gets chills, and he said, that is unbelievable, right? The young man was in the drive-through of a McDonald's eating fries when he got T-boned by a driver and killed.
Wow.
She got his heart. So somehow this craving for McDonald's French fries was transplanted into her with this heart. Okay?
That's
Wow.
crazy.
That's wild. So what our theory is, what we think is that water has memory. Water is a
Yes.
liquid crystal. Okay.
Right.
It's a hydrogen bonding networks that make this up. So in there, it's stored, right? Like a lot of things we don't understand with that, but you have somebody that won a Nobel, Luc Montagnier. He did an experiment where he took DNA and then took it to a completely different place, like a different country, put it in there, and the water imprint created the new DNA.
Wow.
Just the water. He took the water, like the DNA stayed. And so, like, this is a fascinating. It's one of the. I don't know how everybody doesn't know about this study because it's absolutely fascinating. Now, he did come out against the COVID vaccines, and they canceled him.
Of course.
But he already had won the Nobel and everything before then. So, in water, it has structure, memory, frequency. Okay, and the Bible talks about living water, right? Like there's so much we don't know, but to think that water is simply something that comes out of a tap that we drink is crazy, right? Going back to the mitochondria in the CCO, so this is complex 4, mitochondria actually produce metabolic water. This metabolic water is deuterium depleted. That water that we're talking about, deuterium, this form of hydrogen, it is not there in the water that the mitochondria make. It's really, really, really important.
Wow.
So in that water for the egg, right, you have the white that's in the yolk. When you take and this is the work of Veda Austin, when you take this material, the egg white, and you freeze it, the structure is very chaotic. Right, it's just wild and ugly. There's even you got I think his name is Japanese scientist Emoto. And this is wild. Right?
Is this a store bought egg?
This
or
is
any egg?
this is a commercial egg, right?
Okay.
Emoto, he would like have negative thoughts like to the water, right? Talk like cuss the water and stuff, and freeze it. It would be very chaotic, or talk very nice to it, and you freeze it, and it forms these beautiful patterns.
That's wicked.
Well, it makes you think about like how do we talk to our kids, right? How do
Yeah.
we talk to each other? Because we all know that we're mostly water.
We are.
That's what that's what we're taught.
What does the Bible say? There's life and death in the power of the tongue.
There is. And so you're having this imprinted in the water. Okay. So now with those few stories, let's take the life of a chicken that's raised out on that pasture that we're talking about in the backyard versus in a commercial laying house. They're completely different light, a completely different input. So what we're finding is we freeze this egg white and it's very chaotic, very unstructured. It's ugly, right? Or you do that with like a pastured egg and it's more coherent. Now, this is the cool part. They have taken these eggs and they have put them beside each other. And the pastured egg, this positive coherence, is transferred into this commercial egg.
It's wild.
It's wild.
That
But it's
is-
been proven over, and
Yeah.
that's Veda Austin's work. She's done a bunch of incredible stuff.
That was an awesome episode you did with her. Where she was talking about all
Yeah.
that, man, the water and water is like one of the most powerful forces on this earth, and yet we still know so little about it. Obviously, from what you said, right?
Absolutely. And so, and that's whole Jack, it's Jack Cruz, my mentor. His whole platform on health is light, water, and magnetism. Right. This is the three legs of the stool, and the water piece is absolutely, it's fascinating. And
Yeah.
and
It's to me, it again confirms a God thing when you can put those eggs beside each other and you can watch it change with not a human being touching it. Like it's just and again, living water. And they talk about adhesion in water. Water is so much more, and they'll do these experiments with adhesion, and the way it's so much more complicated. Even before I knew that, water is so much more complicated than 99% of the world thinks. They just blow it off. They don't think about it. It's just water. It actually is huge.
Call me crazy. I've heard it said before, like water, 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen, 3 parts. Trinity is what? 3 parts.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Just makes you
It's
wonder.
interesting.
Things that make you go,
Very-
hmm,
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
Yeah. Love that.
it's kind of weird.
But yeah, and why is it that why have we not put more effort into, obviously people are doing it now, but why have we not put more effort into studying water like that?
We've had some incredible water researchers.
Yeah.
So you've got
I guess I'm just obviously ignorant of the,
yeah, well, because
that.
it's not mainstream and it gets looked at as woo woo or new age or whatever. And anything that is outside of the realm of what we believe is Christianity, we look at it in a negative connotation, right? And without understanding it. So if it's not understood, it has to be bad.
but
Yeah.
Right.
nothing it just blows my mind how somebody could even say new age, because nothing you're doing or researching, it's all pointing back to the original way it was.
That's the part I don't understand. Like I don't. Like this to me explains what's written in Genesis.
Yeah.
Me too.
Like not it doesn't take away.
Yeah.
Right. And so we got Victor Schallenberger. He's done incredible work. So vortexing water is actually a really big deal. When you look at the natural system, we have waterfalls, we have vortexes, we have whirlpools, we have all these things that happen in nature. Streams don't run straight, right? They curve, they gently curve, or they go over something, they churn, right? Like all of those things. We don't have that, right? We have this chaotic, stale, dead water versus what you see when you go to Richland Creek, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
It's wild. And like,
That's-
and just like that the lady, that Veda Austin,
Beta, yeah.
she said in your podcast that, like, who are we as humans and people, like, to think that we can make something more nutritious, like formula versus a mother's milk and all this stuff, like, that's like
Psychotic.
crap. Yeah. Like, who are we to say, like, things that are man-made versus how God designed it? How can we put that over what God designed? It's stupid.
Yeah, I thought she made a pretty good point on that too, and about how she
Yeah.
talked about the way she used to be versus now, and she's coming in line with.
And she was super honest. She's like, yeah, my kids get sugar still, but that's just what it is.
Yeah.
We try to limit it and we go on, And I think that's important for listeners out there, that want to start implementing some of these things is you don't have to do it all at once.
And the easiest solution is what?
Light.
Sun.
The sun.
Light.
So easy. Just
Like
think
even y'all
about
store, like we go inside the Me McGee Market and it's like it's low lit, a lot of natural light coming in from the windows. There's no fluorescent. It doesn't look like a hospital in there from all
Doors
the
are open.
lights, doors, everything. It's money.
Well, most of it's outside under pecan
Right.
trees, right? Like it's just because we have meat and have things that can't get wet.
Of course.
That we even have an indoor part. And we just keep running out of room as we grow. But think back to what our great grandparents did.
Yeah.
It's really not that complicated. It's just that we've got convenience and we have bills and we have debt and we have
Yeah.
college degrees
Yeah.
and these frontal lobes that we can out God.
That's
Yeah.
a fact.
And it's just not working out real well for us.
Yeah, you had a study you posted, I think, on Facebook, and it talked about where people spend less time outside now than they ever have, like they believe in history, and you talk about going back to the way things used to be, and we talked about this last week, taking a break from social media because you're retraining your brain in a way that it's becoming destructive in your ability to enjoy the simple things God has put in front of your face. And again, you kind of go back to in the 1700s, you didn't know that a mass shooting occurred in Minnesota. You don't have all this negative stuff coming at you all day long. Again, goes back to what you said, all you knew about was local, what was happening in the local area.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a way to get back to that.
Yeah. That's a big deal. That's a control feature, right?
Yeah.
Just to drop a bomb. Walter
it.
Cronkite
Nuke.
and Dan Rather were CIA assets. Again, we know this. Like this came out in the church commission.
Yeah.
So my point is, if those beloved figures worked for intelligence agencies to influence the population,
Yeah.
what are they doing now?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing
I
I've
think if we-
realized the most is like when they do those cuts or the news story of the day, and they'll show 15 different news agencies saying
The same thing.
not just the same thing, the exact same words. If your common sense doesn't click that there is no way that 15 people can tell the same story using the same words.
But they have gotten so much better at manipulating us, and we are all able to be manipulated, every single one of us, with those algorithms that get us put in these tribes and these echo chambers without even realizing that we're in it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, one of our next subjects, we're going to, our bait subject is going to be tribalism and how it's used against us. Because I was listening to a podcast, it was the same one with Joe Rogan, and he was talking about how easy it was to actually control somebody through their mind using manipulative efforts, especially if they're a person of a certain personality type, that you can literally get them to do anything. And so, again, I think that's the thing that I love about what you're doing. Because I'm a guy who I had scales over my eyes most of my life. I believed America, and I still love America, obviously, but everything that they do is right. Everything's great. The Patriot Act, man, that's going to help us get terrorists. This is a good thing. And then, 15 years later, we find out, no, it's being used to spy on everybody. And that's not conspiracy. That's fact.
No, that's.
And so I think that all of us could learn, and just even if this sounds kooky to you, if it sounds, just stop and do your own research. Just do a little digging. It's kind of like preparing a good meal. It takes a while. The ingredients take a while. It's delayed gratification because if your only knowledge of the world we live in is just surface level, what's blasted at you through Twitter and the news, you're going to be deceived.
100%.
You know, do some research. Listen to some of his podcasts. I've listened to several of them. They're fascinating, amazing. Just do your own research, and your little common sense brain will start to go,
Yeah, that's what's happened to me. Just about it started from that podcast with Saladino. And it's just I'm nowhere near you are, but I've tried to make subtle changes in my life, to better myself and for my family, and that's all we're trying to, we're just trying to get the word out. How can people find Mr. Logan Duvall and Sowing Prosperity?
Yeah, that just Google that. It'll come up on all kinds of stuff, better or worse.
Yeah, because you're on Facebook. Are you on Twitter?
Fortunately, he said.
Yeah, I'm a little salty on Twitter. That's probably not the place to go. I try to. So like Facebook's our number one platform for the market, and I didn't realize that. I have been told this. It's for old people, so I guess I'm an old people. And I like Facebook. I don't like a lot of the other platforms. But I write articles. I try to lay out. I want this to be. I want to take biophysics and these harder concepts and make it super easy to understand and apply. Right, like where you can say, "Oh, that's why the sun doesn't cause cancer." Right. Like give that. So like I put out a lot through Me and McGee, and then mine and the podcast, YouTube, all podcast platforms. I just bring in absolutely incredible people to have some conversations.
You really do. You bring in some blow my mind smart people, and that's why I think this was a good episode too, because we're not those smart people.
No.
So we're able to, have the conversation with you where you bring it down to the common man level where we can understand what you're talking about. Because sometimes I'm listening to these conversations and sometimes they're above my pay grade because they're super duper smart people.
Yeah, but the thing, Mike, is like the one thing that we can control is that person in the mirror, right? And so like we're not all at the same level at the same time, but it's a process. Everybody was over my head when I started.
Right.
But it was just keep doing it, keep reading, keep trying to have these conversations, verify, get another perspective. When I didn't understand what, Jack's talking about with melanin production. So I go get somebody that talks about melanin, right? Like, so you just keep digging in. So I think to me, it's the mark of an intelligent mind to take something that you fundamentally don't agree with and then question it and break it down.
Heck yeah.
So
an echo chamber is bad.
It's really bad.
And most Americans live in an echo chamber.
Right.
And they're very uncomfortable with challenges to opinion.
Right.
And then they become emotional and then it goes downhill from there.
Up.
Yeah. Versus stopping and just going, let me get over my ego.
Yeah.
And let's process what he said here and challenge my own beliefs.
Well, just like look why how Joe Rogan's podcast is so good is because he does exactly what you just talked about.
Yeah.
He has people on there. He asks questions. He has an open mind and rolls with it.
Yeah.
That's it.
What we got to do?
Last thing. It's football season. You ready?
You're going to do it, aren't you?
I am.
Okay.
You got the Razorback hat on. How can I not?
I do love the Razorbacks.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I've lived it though forever. So like I know.
That's a fact. What is your prediction? Wins and losses for the Hogs this year?
So I got really excited one time about the season, right? And I was super homer. It was going to be 12-0, right? And then, so one of my buddies is actually Freddie Marshall. And Freddie was the quarterback for the 1964 National Championship Razorback team. And so I was talking, I was like, dude, we're going to win a freaking natty. I was like, Freddie, what are we going to do? He's like, yeah, we're going to be a 5-7. I was like, what?
It just blew your mind.
Not? How dare you? Yeah, we were 5-7. So like I try to temper expectations a little bit. So I'm gonna go 7-5.
Wow.
I am, and I'm just because a little
That's
bit.
kind
That's
of the
a,
way I feel. 7-5.
that was a little homer bump there, though.
I really feel.
I ain't even giving him the homer bump. I'm saying 6-6, and Pittman's gone
I
after
was
this
going to
year.
say, I really feel in my gut that it's 6 wins, but my homer side pushes it up to 7 because we're going to have an unexpected win,
But what about the unexpected loss?
which also, and at this point in the season, we're all undefeated and we're all just ready to go. And then a few Saturdays from now, you and I will be talking and we're going to say, remember what we talked about, how we're not going to let wins and losses dictate whether our Saturdays suck or not.
Yeah, we had a whole episode on that one time about how
Oh, mad we
do not
did.
let sports ruin your day.
It's hard.
It's tough.
It's hard.
I let it run. I've now got it down to maybe 30 minutes max.
Yeah,
and
same
after
here.
that, I'm good. It used to be a day.
That's
but,
growth.
But,
That's
but now,
growth.
but now I'm down to 15, 20
It's
minutes.
a process. We
It's a
have
process.
therapy, We're working on it.
Because you just, as a Razorback fan, you're waiting for that.
Breakthrough. Or
And I'm waiting for the.
I'm not over North Texas, to be honest with you.
oh, dude, I'm gonna have to go to therapy now because you
mean,
brought
it's-
it up. And then before we got on, you mentioned Reggie Fish. I mean, at this point, I'm just depressed.
You said the stern over too.
the stern over. I mean, we're
Drop fly ball.
we're abused spouses. We
keep coming back.
We're battered wives. We keep coming back, and we just get beat up.
We just get.
But we're Hog fans, and we're gonna stick with it.
We are.
All we got.
Logan, man, I appreciate you coming on. We always do a thing here. We always pray to end the show. So, Mike, you can pray us out of here?
Yeah. Man, you put me on the spot. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for this awesome day. Thank you for the little bit of rain we're getting today. Thank you for bringing us together with Logan so we can talk about the nature and going back to the way it used to be. And we ask that you help guide each of us as we move forward, help get this message out, help people understand it and become healthier as a result of it. And just help this get out there to the guys who need to hear about Jesus. And as we move forward, keep us safe. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.